All right, obviously, fellas, we're back at it here with preparation for a Nebraska team that as you'll see, looks a lot different than last year. A lot of new pieces, terrific positional size. You look at their starting lineup; they've got great size across the board. Older guys, older bodies. I've always really respected the way that Fred's groups have played and shared the ball and moved it. And defensively, they really uh, have have really done a good job this year, making it difficult for teams um, in a lot of ways. And certainly part of that is their length and their scheme. Um, so important couple days here of preparation for Nebraska here as we move forward.
All right, Adam Jardy, Columbus Dispatch.
Hi, Chris. You've you've been able to this season to this point to really play a number of guys, and your rotation's fairly deep at this point. And I know Seth coming back changes things, and I know you've had some guys emerge. But do you feel comfortable with the rotation being as deep as it is, and how do you see that continuing to evolve as you go through this season?
Yeah, it's a good question because it's more than we've typically played. To be honest with you, and some of that has been the addition of Musa. And I let me begin by saying this: Musa will be out of tomorrow's game due to contact tracing. So unfortunately, that's going to be um, a young man that obviously has played really well for us, but he will be out due to contact tracing. So, I think we'll have to look at potentially tightening the bench. In this year, everybody's going to have to stay ready or tightening the rotation. I think we're going to have to take a look at it. But I'm comfortable right now playing the number of guys we played. It is an adjustment because while some guys may not be playing extended minutes, we are playing as many as 11 guys in a game, which is not something that typically is done. So we'll look at if we need to make some changes and shorten it moving forward here. But I don't plan to do that anytime soon.
Do you have an idea how long you'll be without Musa, and how do you look to replace the things that he's given you?
I don't. I think obviously Justin, Gene, those guys are going to have to continue to step into new roles and play for us. Maybe increase minutes as well as Justice and Seth. So as far as how long he's going to be out, I don't know at this point. I don't think it's by any stretch a long-term situation. I don't anticipate that.
All right, we'll go next to Patrick Murphy, 247. Patrick?
Chris, I'm curious about how the guys have responded from the Northwestern game, just in the way that ended. An opportunity for another big win. You let the game slip away. What have you seen, the guys? How have they bounced back this week, and how are you feeling they've approached heading into Nebraska tomorrow?
Yeah, good. I think good. I think it's you don't have to be a Big Ten guru to look around the league and figure out that every team is going to go through tough losses. It's part of being in a league that's got 9 teams in the top 25 and the overall depth that it has. And you look at this Nebraska team, they were up most of the game or a good part of the game at Wisconsin. They were up a good part of the game versus Michigan. So I think you understand you have to play well. We'll know more, but listen, this group's been a really mature group, as I've said. It's not going to be the only adversity we'll see. We'll see how we respond throughout the year to everything that comes our way.
with Musa again, obviously with what happened last year, missing the couple games early this season. I mean, obviously unfortunate with contract tracing, but you feel for a kid like that gets back and is playing so well and now has to sit out at least one more game.
I don't think you don't like any of your guys to miss games. You understand why it's important in today's climate with contact tracing. I certainly don't question that. But you don't want any young man to miss games, not only for themselves but for the team, and certainly given the way he's played. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but it's part of it, and we'll have to adjust and move forward, and guys will need to be ready to step up.
All right, we'll go next to Brendan Gulick, Buckeyes Now and SI.
Hi, Chris. Thanks for visiting with us.
Sure.
Hey, it's kind of hard to believe we're already, talking about the 10th game of the season here. Things are slow and fast at the same time. And I guess I'm wondering most, you've talked a lot about wanting to learn early in this year because so much of this feels like it's on the fly. What have you learned that you're really happy about with this team, and what's frustrating you here in the beginning of the season?
I think there's a lot of things that I've learned that have been real positives. I think, we've had for the most part a really resilient group in the midst of games. That's been a really good thing. That's been a good sign here, which I think is going to be necessary for us. I don't think anything is frustrating. I think some of it is, I think I knew that we were going to be a bit of a work in progress with some new pieces, and then guys coming back off of injuries and guys returning from having not played for a year or two. But I think all that has brought the challenges that we'd expect, but significant challenges in some ways. But it's again, that's partly to be expected. I think that's going to be our mantra the whole year is what can we take good or bad from good and bad lessons to be learned from every game. And I think pretty much every game, honestly, outside of maybe that first one where it just, was such an odd game, we didn't maybe necessarily get the kind of resistance that you hope to get in an early season game. Outside of that one, we've really been able to learn from every game.
And then I had one other question that was less specific to Nebraska and more just about your staff. We ask you an awful lot about the players and about upcoming opponents, but feel like we don't have a chance to hear too much about your staff. Can you just tell us a little bit about how they have reacted and dealt with the fluidity of everything this year, whether it's recruiting or getting ready for opponents on short notice, sort of all that's gone into trying to make this season keep moving in the right direction?
Well, I give them a ton of credit, just like I give our players a ton of credit. I mean, it is an absolute challenge, I think, for everybody involved in a lot of ways. And you've heard coaches say that. It's no one's complaining. It's just the reality. It's just a different year, and it's a different year in so many ways. And our staff has been a big part of making this happen in a successful way. Our staff and players, as you mentioned, going into game number 10 is an accomplishment, and everyone a part of your program, should be commended for the fact that right now we've been able to maintain a season without significant stoppages.
All righty, we'll go next to Bruce Hooley. Bruce.
Hey, thanks, Chris. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Justice Sewing's minutes, coach, have gone down precipitously last 3 games. His 3-point shots are about 40% of his attempts. His free throw attempts are going down dramatically. When you talk to him, specifically maybe a coaching instance in the Northwestern game, shot clock running out, he can take the ball to the basket. He shoots a fadeaway 3 and shoots an air ball. When you talk to him about using his ability to use either hand and go to the basket and be physical and things like that, is this a Was this an issue for him that you noticed in his game at Cal? Is this something he has to learn? Is this something he's gotten away from? What do you want him to do to get back to the kind of player that you talked about in the summertime, being a guy who could go to the basket and get to the line a lot?
Well, I think his experience with at Cal it's completely different, and in so many ways. And we've talked about that, and he knows it. It was quite honestly, and not a program that had a tremendous amount of success, and not a team that had a tremendous amount of success. And he, I think, took from that experience some things, but at the same time, knew that this was going to be a real step up in terms of just the amount of scheming that goes on at this level. I think the reality is he's got to play stronger with the ball. He's got to make better decisions. He's got to play stronger in traffic. He's got to be more committed. But again, I don't look at this maybe like other people do, or people on the outside, or people, fans. I think we all understood this was going to be, especially once we got into Big Ten play, a real adjustment period for him. You're playing some of the best defenses in the entire country. He didn't have that experience, quite honestly, in the Pac-12. It wasn't close. So there's an adjustment that has to happen, and it's on him to continue to adjust and grow, and it's on us to help him get to that point. But I think all of this stuff and his ability to adjust and grow will be an important part to see how he continues to do that as the season progresses. But I think our expectations, again, were probably misguided a little bit after that first game, when quite honestly, that was a team that of all the teams we played, probably will struggle the most this year. So I think the reality is he's just got to keep working, have a good attitude, and keep learning. And if he does that, I think we'll see growth. It might be incremental growth, but we'll see growth.
How realistic is, I don't know if significance the right word, but greater contribution type growth in the midst of a Big Ten season? I mean, it's a hard lesson to learn on the fly.
Yeah. No, I think it can. That's where I probably would come back to Bruce and say I think it can be incremental growth. And I don't think it's going to be. You're not going to see him run off games of 25 points, for 4 straight. That's not. He's not there yet. But I think we'll see incremental growth. I really do, and I believe that about him. He's a tremendous kid. He's got to get stronger with the ball. He's got to get tougher in certain areas, primarily defensively. But just love his approach, love his attitude, love where he's at. But it's not to say he's not, frustrated with how he's performed at times. And we got to continue to help him in some areas. But I love in terms of his coachability and where he's at right now. I really do love it.
Thank you.
All righty, we'll go next to Steve Hellwagon, 247. Steve?
Well, let's just move over 2 spots then and talk about C.J. Walker and Dwayne Washington. I know Dwayne had the big game when you beat Rutgers, but the production, I think, out of those 2 guys after the first 5 or 6 games, and maybe it had a function to do with who you're playing, because now you're strictly into conference, and you did have the one game with UCLA. CJ in particular, at least his scoring has gone down, his shooting's gone down, and Dwayne, I think, was hitting 40% early. Now he's down around 28 the last 3 or 4 games. Just what can you do to get those 2 guys on a consistent level going in the right direction?
Yeah, some of that is they've got to adjust. Caleb obviously created a lot of openings for them last year, given the amount of attention that he got and space that he provided outside the line. Both he and Andre created tremendous space and opportunities for those guys. So I think that continues to be an adjustment for those guys, because we really don't have that right now. They've got to just be continue to work. CJ's battled a thumb injury that he's not been one necessarily to speak about a lot, but just I think he's still fighting through that a little bit and trying to do his best to kind of battle through that. But I think, again, as much as anything, you know, you look at, if you go through and you look at Ken Palm and the top defenses in the country, what you're going to see is, in large part, a handful, if not most, of the Big Ten. It's a tremendous defensive league. So I think, again, it's on all of us to continue to grow and take steps forward. And then when you take steps forward, be consistent with that approach. And I think that's what we're looking to see out of Dwayne in a lot of those ways.
Yeah. Asking about your rotation, I mean, it is difficult to get minutes for 11 people. It seems like we saw Eugene and Justin Arns get into games for, you know, a minute or two. And when it didn't work for him, we never saw him again the rest of the game. And I could be wrong on Eugene. Maybe he came back in the second half for a minute or two, but just seems like it's hard for guys to find a niche or a role with, you know, so much going on at this point, and guys coming back from illness and guys getting hurt and whatever. Role definition seems like it's nil at this point.
I'm asking, you know, I'm kind of wondering, what's the question, Steve?
Just, I guess, trying to find minutes for 11 guys. And, you know, you have Eugene, who starred against UCLA and has played 3 or 4 minutes in each of the last 2 games. And, you know, he went in and maybe it didn't work out for him and then he just didn't come back. I don't know, but just your thought in trying to rotate these guys the best that you can.
No, that wasn't the case with Gene at all. And I think he only played 6 or 7 minutes against UCLA. So I don't recall a situation where he came out. I think, so I'm not specifically sure, you know, what you're referring to, but
just trying to find minutes for 11 guys at this point. I mean, that, and is someone going to get lost in the wash here? They just have to stay with what you're telling them and stay with the program and keep working at it, I guess.
yeah, welcome to college basketball. You know, everybody's got a roster of 11, 12, 13 guys that want to play. The guys that stay ready are usually the ones that keep getting better. Sometimes that means you don't play for a few games or you play a little bit less. That's happening all across college basketball. And the guys that keep and stay ready are the ones that I think are productive. Our guys embracing of the roles up to this point has been outstanding. It's been outstanding. Now we'll see if that continues to be the case, but it's been outstanding, and we'll see how that continues to develop.
Okay, thanks.
All righty, got time for a couple more. We'll go to Adam. Go back to Adam Jardy from the Dispatch. Adam.
Chris, a follow-up on Musa and that news. How much time have you guys had to prepare for not having him? And is there anyone else that is either out or you're concerned about being out?
You know, not at this point. We've obviously still got to practice today, but you know, I won't say exactly when we got the news, but you know, it's you know, day to day in this type of situation with. And we'll see, you know, we'll see what tomorrow looks like for the availability of our entire team. That could change as well. So, you know, I think it's a really day by day type of a situation.
And with Ibrahima, where is he as far as coming back from the concussion, and where is Michi as he continues to try to make his way to where he can help you in some way, maybe just even in practice?
Yeah, he's back and available to play. Ibrahima, returning from his concussion, and Michi's still got he's still got a ways to go. He's not been implemented into practice yet, but he has begun some skill workouts and some baseline physical stuff with Q.
Thank you.
All righty, and I'll wrap it up unless anyone else has any questions. If you do, just use the raise hand function, but go ahead. Bruce Hooley.
Chris, I apologize if I missed this in an earlier availability, but can you shed any light on with Michi? Is it Ohio State protocols that he's waiting to satisfy, Big Ten protocols? Is it just he should be a high school senior and he's playing in the Big Ten, so he's not, you know, that's an ability thing? Or what is keeping him from being available?
Oh, I think it's just really trying to keep his best interest right now. With he's coming off of a ACL where he didn't play high school season last year. You're throwing him into live competitive practices where guys have been training with our strength coach for upwards of 4.5 to 5 months. And then the last thing we want to do is throw him into that setting again. As I've said previous times regarding this, I totally understand the question, but the reality is like all of our freshmen have had, 4, 5, 6 months with Q and laying a real foundation physically of where they need to be. And I just don't want, we're thinking long-term with Michi, obviously. He's going to be important for our team this upcoming season. And the last thing we want to do is put his health and rush him out there and put his health at any risk. So, it's going to be, it'll be a little while, and we'll see, when he's ready and when he feels confident and ready, if there's opportunity for him. I know he's excited to get into practice, and that's really the next step.
Finally, how do you view Kyle Young shooting threes? You still okay with it? Hasn't been that I notice a payoff for that yet. I just wonder how you feel about that particular shot in your offense.
Yeah, I think he's, the ones he shot have really been ones where he's had time and space and wide open ones. And you're right, we've not seen the payoff certainly that we've seen with his practice shooting. We've not seen that yet, but the time and space ones. But again, I think Kyle does understand. He's been so effective these last couple games as a player. And I think he understands where he's most effective. He's just been tremendous these last couple games. He's got to continue to do that for our group. I've loved how he's playing. He played terrific in helping us beat Rutgers, and then I thought he had a really outstanding Northwestern game. So, if it becomes an issue where he is defined by that, then I think obviously we'll have a conversation.